Hi, my name is Ben, and I'm here with Sam and Logan to speak to you all today about age discrimination and our own misconduct at IBM. We're hopeful that will be able to learn from our experiences and better your own workplace culture as a result. Now, it is no surprise that discrimination extends far past public encounters and into the workplace. It is, however, under acknowledged that discrimination can take many forms other than just sexism, racism, and bias against people with disabilities. We would like to highlight ageism and dive into the perspectives of both the employer and the employee. We will be taking a look at a few workplace environments displaying this form of oppression, as well as offer advice from our own firsthand experience in dealing with a major scandal.
So, what is ageism? It's described by the Merriam-Webster Dictionary as the intentional prejudice or discrimination against the elderly. In 1967, the United States government passed the Age Discrimination and Employment Act, or ADEA for short. The ADEA outlawed all discrimination on the bias of age. This includes hiring, firing, work promotions, and work assignments, among other things. To businesses, having a younger employee workforce means that you have to pay them less. They may have a higher trajectory, and they may work harder than their older counterparts in certain situations. This trend of companies targeting younger employees to be in their workforce will never go away. But it's important that as a community and as a company, upholding strong ethical, moral, and legal guidelines is important. It's important in avoiding lawsuits, bad publicity, and upholding a strong moral fiber as a company. In terms of the application of the ADA in everyday business world, it's a bit shady sometimes. For example, ageism can often be hidden in everyday mundane activities in the workplace, such as performance reviews, where the one giving the performance review can have an implicit bias based on age and therefore rank them poorly. Furthermore, it's important that as a company, a level of integrity and honesty is held with the consumers. One company that's handling ageism fairly well is Indiegogo. Indiegogo is an internet company started in the last 15 years. Because of this, their workforce is much younger than the national average. To avoid accusations of ageism, they're completely transparent about the average ages of each level of worker within their company. Although they're showing that their average age is younger than the average, they're being honest about it and they're being transparent, which comes off as sincere, honest, and almost angelic to the consumers and the business world. When looking at ageism, it's important to understand it from the perspective of the victim to understand the problem as a whole. A study by the AARP found that 3 in 5 of workers above 45 have experienced or seen workplace ageism. That's from a study of over 3,000 people, and that's 60%. In another study, it was found that 76% of employees over 55 see finding a new job as a measurable hurdle based on their age. When looking at the ramifications ageism in the workplace may have outside of the workplace, you can look at these statistics. The World Health Organization found that life expectancy increases by 7.5 years when one thinks positively about aging. When you're down for money and ageism is committed against you in a company, it's hard to think about being positive. Furthermore, elderly people who don't feel useful in their work are 3 times more likely to develop a disability and 4 times more likely to die prematurely than those who do. This is why ageism matters and why the victims are hurting. When looking at ageism today, it's especially relevant, as the current generation of the mass of workers, known as the baby boomer generation, or born during 1946 to 1976, is now at the point where they're leaving the workforce. They're at the end of the workforce and they're much older. This causes, as you can see in the graph, our workforce as a whole to be much older than what it normally is. This leaves the markets and the economy as a whole, especially at risk of ageism. It's a trend right now that companies are pushing out older workers and trying to get more millennials and Generation X employees.
Thank you, Sam. Ageism is a real problem in our world today. A contemporary example of ageism is the current ongoing lawsuit with IBM. Many senior employees have been let go from IBM in the past few years, many of which believing that the reason that they were let go is because of their age, and that if they were millennials, maybe they would still currently have their job. IBM claims that they're just trying to get rid of the underperforming employees and replace them with higher performing employees, but they never give a definition on what an underperforming employee is. Also, many of these senior employees are being asked to retire after receiving low performance reviews, which are coming to them completely unexpectedly. When they're asked to retire and they sign for their severance package, IBM's in the contract to sign for your severance package, you agree not to take up your release from the company with the court system. This is how IBM keeps everybody happy and quiet. IBM clearly just wants to keep their workforce young, hiring 50,000 employees annually. This is not a problem unique to IBM. This exists in multiple other companies, including Google and LA Times. Google was found responsible for not hiring employees over the age of 40, and LA Times was found responsible for demoting employees as they developed health problems that came along with age. We need to combat ageism in the workplace, and there are many simple ways that we can do this, and many companies are effectively doing this already. First is offering classes. Many senior employees might not know the new workings of new technology, so offering classes to keep all employees refreshed on all information can help decrease ageism problems in the workplace. Also, having management communicate better with older employees can create a more friendly environment where older employees feel comfortable bringing up problems to management without having to go to the court system, which makes everybody happy and saves the company from having to go to court. Mentoring and reverse mentoring are also ways that you can combat ageism in the workplace. Mentoring is where older employees teach skills that they may have learned from being in the job for so long to younger employees, where reverse mentoring is the exact opposite, where younger employees might teach older employees things on new technology or new methods that they might be coming into the workforce just learning. Implementing things like this into all companies will reduce the problem that ageism is currently causing.
We recognize that mishaps occur in the workplace, whether intended or not, which is why all businesses must have a plan of action to recover from damaging press, but also to prevent future discrimination. Fortunately, for IBM and companies within the tech industry, company-wide scandals do not dissuade new workers from entering the field. According to tech ethicist Jessica Barron, 59% of tech workers do not think that the tech industry scandals are enough to discourage them from working in the industry. These statistics may vary by industry. However, the data point that 34% of people are actually more interested as a result of a scandal gives promising hopes for all businesses recovering from bad publicity. Because workers will be available, management must create a healthy workplace environment to facilitate collaboration and growth of all employees. Rather than firing senior employees, they should be put to work to train younger employees as well as learn from them. Though workplace discrimination problem reaches far past the walls of the building, the first step in repairing public relations is to make a statement admitting fault and offering assurances that the firm will grow from the event. Bad news is never easy to announce, but it is important to thoroughly explain the company's thought process, maintain a serious tone, and end on a good note. In the same vein of rebuilding customer loyalty, it is important to switch focuses shortly after a public scandal. Putting profits in the back seat and utilizing all resources for repairing public reputation is always a difficult call to make. However, the future well-being of a company, damage control must be made in the short term primary focus. Building good publicity could take many forms, such as a social media campaign or a foundation that seeks to protect seniors in the workforce. The point, though, is that the company must provide proof that they are taking steps to move past the event. In summary, discrimination exists in day-to-day life and in the workplace regardless of laws and standards in place to prevent such acts. Ageism is an extremely prevalent and damaging form of oppression against our senior members of society, yet it is also often overlooked. In order to prevent discrimination of any form, people must be educated on the subject, as well as in an environment where people feel welcomed and valued. And while scandals do occur, we hope that, including ourselves at IBM, the world can learn from these mistakes and strive for a brighter future.